Hey guys.
Hi. Hi. How you doing?
Sorry. Sorry.
It's
I'm
all right.
just
No
getting
worries.
No problem at all. No.
had all my actors and writers, and we went over. I'm trying to write the next movie. It got a little kooky. Sorry.
No,
That's
no
all
worries.
right.
I couldn't tell
I mean,
Keanu. I love you guys, but I just couldn't tell Keanu to fuck off. So
Yeah.
I mean, we appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today. I mean, we really appreciate it.
yeah, no worries, man. How's
So,
it going?
I mean,
It's everybody.
basically,
Hi.
yeah. I mean, what we've been doing over the last couple of months is we've been going through all our favorite action films. John Wick being one of them. So, obviously, a few better people to speak to than the man behind the film. So,
Sure.
great to talk to you about it today.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to.
Because I guess we'll get straight into it with the questions then. So it's going, having teamed up with Keanu in The Matrix as a stunt double, becoming the kind of stunt coordinator for those films later through that. How do you feel that helped your chemistry making the John Wick trilogy?
Well, I guess it's like any other interpersonal relationship. Having, Keanu, if you look over at his career, he's done everything from very, very tiny independent artistic films to, some of the biggest action films on the planet.
Yeah.
And I came from the same kind of home. I was just a little stunt guy, then a stunt choreographer, then an action director. So I think both of us kind of came up the ladder. So we saw the business from the inside and the outside kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That helped.
Yeah.
I think I met Keanu at a very interesting time. I was a fairly good novice at the time. I mean, I had been doing stunts for probably 6 years, I think, and had already worked on The Crow, worked on some big TV things, and done some fairly decent movies as a stunt performer. So hooking up with directors that were just within my age bracket, the Wachowskis were just slightly older than I was at the time, 3 or 4 years older. Keanu was just a little bit, we're all in the same, age bracket. And I think Keanu obviously had already done Speed and Point Break and all that stuff. So he was at a pretty big spot in his career. I was coming up just enough to shut up and learn a lot. And then I kind of clicked actually with the Wachowskis. I had been injured on the first Matrix, and they kind of taken me under the wing and helped walk me through the post process. At the time, I had done a few little second unit action directing jobs, very, very small pieces. And in the 6 months that I was kind of incapacitated, they brought me into the post world and learned so much more about, it was before we had iPhones. It was before we had Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro, or all this offline digital editing systems. So I was learning on the Avid, and I actually got a taste of real editing with them in post-production. So seeing that kind of helped me into the direct. So on Matrix 2 and 3, I was actually one of the stunt coordinators and an action director and all this. So it was like film school times 10. So I got to go through film school at the same time I was doubling Keanu. So it wasn't just me hanging out with Keanu Reeves. It was me growing as a filmmaker as Keanu was growing as a performer and an action star and thing. And the whole time not knowing that he wanted to do a little directing and producing as well. So we were all kind of in the right place as we were all going through a growth period. I think that kind of bonded us all becoming filmmakers under genius filmmakers of the Wachowskis. So afterwards, a couple years later, Keanu goes on to direct his own movie after Man of Tai Chi that we all got to work together, and we went over to John Wick. So we just got together at the right, I'm sure like all you guys, you have similar interests. And it's never just like the mentor student, it's you're all coming together and you all kind of go out and you come back and you go out. We just hit at a good time where everybody was really interested in progressing, I think.
Yeah. I suppose,
just to ask,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say just before John Wick, because that's a real, well, I don't mean to be rude, but it sounds a bit of an odd turnabout to go stuntman, coordinator, director. Was getting behind the camera always the ultimate goal? Or was it a case of you found out once you were in the post room? I know you said you did a couple of second unit stuff, but when you sort of got the chance, did you think this is where I now want to go?
Well, you always like, you're 18, right? And you go to film school and you're like, I want to be a director, right? Yeah. There's that. And then there's, being on a set when you're 18 or 21 going, Jesus, the director looks like a really crazy, I could never be able to do the director. Like sometimes your ego either propels you forward or holds you back.
Yeah.
Mine was like, I'm just a stunt guy. I'm going to shut my mouth up. I'm making a good living. This is a great job. I just want to do my kung fu on the side. I'm going to shut up and make a good living. But then you start, there's something in you that makes it, and I've always loved movies. You know, sitting on Sundays when my dad watching Steve McQueen was like the shit.
Yeah.
You know, and Kung Fu theaters on Saturdays, or watching Godzilla on Saturday morning. Like, you guys know the deal, right? And then to go through it, and then to be exposed to it, and through this serendipitous type of career, where next thing you know, 1 minute you're doing low budget Bloodsport 3 movies, next minute you're on the set of The Matrix. And again, it hadn't come out yet, but you're looking around going, wow, this is fucking, it's Yung Woo Ping over there. It's Keanu Reeves. Like, you're in it, and then the possibilities, you go like, oh fuck, like, wow, there's nothing impossible in life. Like, it's the Hollywood, you can be anything. Craft service guy 1 minute, next minute you're directing fucking an Avengers movie. You don't know, right? So it opens that world of possibilities, and the more you get into it, then it becomes more like, well, this is serious, and you start taking it like, okay, now you're going to night school at AFI, you're taking cinematography course, you're actually learning how to write, you're actually actively involved because you know it's a possibility. That's kind of what it was. I got exposed to it and went, I love this. This is something I can't stop thinking about. So what's the best way to approach this professionally? Well, you can sit around and hope and kiss ass and try to do things, or you can just go fucking roll up your sleeves. Okay, how do I do this? And if you know the right people, if you have enough balls, if you have the confidence to ask the questions and know that you're stupid. So I literally went to the Wachowskis and went to all the great directors that I've been working for, going, hey, I want to direct. Some laugh at you, some go, oh, you do? Okay, well, this is what it's going to take. And you shut up, you listen, and you go through it, and then you learn your own path and you go. So it's a little of both. Like, it's something I always had, I just didn't know it was possible. Once you find it's possible, you're like, fuck, I can climb this mountain, and then you go for it. You know?
I think as we've spoken a lot there about the Matrix, it's kind of, there's so many little nods to the Matrix within the John Wick film. So Neo being the gamer's name in the safe house in the first movie, there's the line in the second. So I guess you have a choice between Lawrence Fishburne and Keanu in John Wick 2. How much influence did being on the Matrix altogether have on the direction of the John Wick trilogy?
Oh, fucking 110%, probably. I mean, I'm shamelessly ripping off the Wachowskis. How's that for an answer? You know, you fight so hard. You don't, like, again, this is before all the big Netflix, like, you know, we did Wick, you know, 7-8 years ago when we came up with it and did all that stuff. And, you know, that's just like, you know, me and my partner Dave at the time were both trying to direct independently. Like, we were ready to do Bloodsport 19. We were ready to do, you know, Navy SEAL random movie 12, you know, cops kill everybody 15. Like, we just want to direct.
Yeah.
And then again, the right things fall into your lap. Like, we got this really crazy script, no money. And then out of the blue, we find out, oh, Keanu's attached. And Keanu calls me about it, going, hey, I read that script. It's fucking god awful. And they're like, yeah, it is god awful. And you're like, yeah, okay, but I'm attached to it. We're going to rewrite. Oh, well, this is kind of cool. And then, well, this is just another assassin movie. What if we made it about Greek mythology and a samurai code of ethics, and we'll do it like this, and we'll flip it and make you guys the really bad guy. And instead of killing 3 people, like it was in the original script, we're going to kill 80.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do that movie. Dave and I and Keanu, we all finished John Wick 1, and we got it done for literally no money. It's an independent film. No studio would buy it. He killed too many people. It was too wacky, too weird, too bloody. Like, the conceit. I mean, imagine if I came to you guys and you wanting to market something, you got to drop another 5 minutes. You go, hey guys, it's a movie about Keanu Reeves. I know you haven't seen him in a while or done anything big in a while, but like, bad guys kill his puppy and then he kills 86 people with headshots.
Yeah.
6 studios out of 6 passed on us. It was like, so we go to show it at, like, you know, fucking down in Austin, you know, at just a festival, and we're like, all right, well, so far our test screenings have gone horrible. So we're already looking for second unit jobs. We're like, yeah, well, we gave it a shot, guys. Good try. Okay, boom, it goes. And you're like, oh, fuck, they want a second one. Well, we only wrote it to be 1. Like, John Wick's supposed to fucking die at the end. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do with it. So we all get together and we go, hey, how about we'll have this marker? We'll have a coin. And we just started going fucking kooky. Okay, now we get another one. And we think, okay, that's enough. We got away with 2. Thank you, fans. We're good. 3. And then 3 goes the biggest out of all. Now we've got a whole world and a franchise. My point is, Wick was never supposed to be more than 1. So, of course, on the first Wick, we were just trying to get it done. And if you can't tell that I was heavily, or that Dave and I were both, and if you go watch Deadpool 2 or Hobbs and Shaw, like, if you can't tell that 90% of our DNA is Wachowski, then we missed. Of course it is. Like, look at the last John Wick. I mean, I frame it. I do that. Like, we even say lines from the Matrix. Like, it's John Wick was meant to be Dave, Keanu, and mine's ode to Steve McQueen movies. Lee Marvin, McQueen, 70s films. That's what it was. John Wick 2 was everything about every action movie we've ever loved from silent film on. John Wick 3 was a straight on fucking homage to literally everything I love. Classical music, ballet, horses, dogs. You know, there's no one in in John Wick 3 that I don't love, that I wasn't a fan of. Halle Berry, you know, Ian McShane. These are all people I love. There isn't a frame in there that isn't ripped off from like Leone, Bertolucci, Tarkovsky, Wachowski. I don't say all the skis, right? Or like, you know, and there's characters that like, they were literally, it wasn't me trying to be, you know, like one of these great directors that get to write their own thing. And they're trying to say like Nolan with time and space related and trying to get you the audience to question. Wick was always supposed to be a love letter to things we love.
Yeah.
You know, like what, like, you know, first thing we said, we didn't even have a plot for John Wick 3. Like, Keanu, you're not a fucking horse because we love Westerns and you look bitching on a horse. That was literally that scene written around. And we're like, okay, well, fuck the horse, we'll have dogs. Well, fuck the dogs, we'll have this and what? You know, and we just would write an action movie. Then we go, we've seen all this before, flip it on its head, and that's John Wick. So they're like love letters in a weird way to everybody that loves action movies. Amazing. So now, cut to later, we're doing these things. It's not trying to be me as a filmmaker personally and trying to say the things I love. Like, I love tragedies. I love making people cry. I love, you know, weird stuff. Yeah. You know, what John Wicks are me as a filmmaker saying thank you to all the filmmakers I love. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So just because I'm so into the John Wick world, I'm being that particular director. Yes. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I love working with Keanu. I love the John Wick world. Are you kidding? I have a studio that lets me do whatever I want. I have enough money to do whatever I want. I can find samurai, kung fu, Western, wacky shit all day long. And everyone goes, cool.
Yeah.
You know, yes, there's a side of me that, yeah, I want to go on and do 20 other projects as well. But like, you know, John Wick has given me everything. It's given me these great offices. We have a great company. We have good people. I have a great crew that I love to death. It's allowed me to experience filmmaking at its best. I get to learn about composing, orchestration, post, VFX, all this stuff through the John Wick world. So I definitely want to tie this up. Keanu and I, like in the riff sessions you just missed, like there's a lot of stress with money, time, and budget, but at the same time, we are laughing the whole time going, yeah, let's just blow this up. And, you know, it's fun.
Yeah.
But there's another side of it. Yes, once we finish this project, there's many other things to do. And like, will that be as much? Yes, there's probably going to be, I'll never get the Matrix out of me for sure. That's just, I spent the biggest part of my learning curve. I mean, it's 10 years between 3 Matrixes. But yeah, are there other things you want to experiment? Absolutely. You know?
Yeah.
I'm sure if you looked on IMDb, there's plenty on there with the trivia that would be news to you. So they say on there that the script originally, John Wick was going to be in his mid-60s, and they're talking about De Niro and Pacino, and they were linked to John Wick. How much of that is true, and how much of that is just fabrication?
I don't know about the casting options, but the original script was called Scorn. It was John Wick it was a very very personal, small story. It was an older Cold War veteran who had retired, lives in a brownstone in New Jersey. Very, very grounded, very, very realistic. It was this old man, literally late 60s, lived with his old German Shepherd. His wife had died a few years ago. He was a widower, a retiree, lived in a shitty little brownstone. And then one day, a bunch of thugs break in. His dog dies, and they rob him and beat him up. And then he goes down into the basement. He takes out a brick from the furnace. There's an old revolver, a gold coin, and all that. It's very realistic from Cold War. And then before Dave or I were involved, Keanu had gotten involved, and they had aged down John Wick to be, you know, mid-40s.
Yeah.
And like that. And then it became the thing that it is after Dave and I got attached. That's as far as I know, that's
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with regards to the scaling down, I mean, the aging down of Keanu opens up. Once you have that, I don't know how much of a personal film you want to make, because you've got, no offense to anyone who's in their 60s, but some of the stuff John Wick sliding around corners doing, I don't know if there's a 65-year-old that I know who's really going to be that keen for it.
You know, maybe someday, you know, if Anthony Hopkins wants to do an action role,
I mean, I would definitely let him if he asked. Let's be honest, you wouldn't be saying no. But no, I think scaling it down and then opening it allows you to open it up straight off the bat. And I mean, from your side with your stuff, as you say, how well are you going to combine kung fu, karate, westerns with an older guy? But if you've got Keanu, somebody who's fit and looks like they could be in fighting shape, I mean, at least you've got the opportunity to do, well, as you said, whatever you like.
Exactly. So again, and that's how, the company that we all own, the 8711 action company or whatever, we're very big with choreographers. Like, most of our guys are skilled in some high level of martial arts and stunts. But on top of that, it's advanced choreography or the methodology. Part of that is knowing your performer. So obviously I would, if I took each of the three of you guys, we'd find out right-handed, left-handed, what you're good at, who's flexible, who's not, who has memory, who has not, and we develop the system around you instead of just what most stunt people do is they'll choreograph some great moves that stunt people do, and they'll try and shove the actors into the bag. And if they can't do it, it's a double. If they can do it, great, it's a tight shot, or they'll switch the camera around. We're very Keanu's very flexible in some ways. Keanu also has a bad shoulder on one side, so we favor everything on the other side, and we really mold it to him. So you're only seeing the best. Yeah. We're seeing what he does really well. And also the way I like to shoot, like Bob Fosse or something like that, if we're in all that jazz, I want the camera to converge and you see the whole routine. I don't care if there's a little imperfection or the fist isn't perfect, but I want it to be enjoyable, and that Keanu Reeves is doing this. That's part of the gag. That's part of the love letter. I'm not trying to be subversive enough to make you think that's not Keanu Reeves, that's John. No, it's Keanu Reeves as John Wick doing some cool shit. So get on board.
Because that's the thing. So it's reported that Keanu Reeves does between 90-95% of all the stunts throughout the trilogy. Have you ever had to talk him down from doing a stunt that you really wanted to do in fear that your main protagonist is going to get injured and you can't do the film?
I mean, that's a common question with really you look at any behind the scenes, right? Yeah. And there's always somebody asking the stunt, did you ever have to talk Tom Cruise down or John? Oh yeah, my God, we had to hold him back. That's if you guys don't ever talk to each other. Yeah. If I tell you, hey, don't worry guys, hey, just come to set, don't worry about it, and you get to set, and you want me to do what? Yeah. Every time I see that on set or behind the scenes, I'm like, what, you fucking guys didn't tell the guy till a day? What? You're all retarded. We designing it for Keanu. I know it's Keanu Reeves. Yeah. So right now we're months out from shooting, but I know he's going to drive a car. So next week he's on the track. He's on a motorcycle. It's only that holding back thing when it's situated. Keanu knows he's sliding a car in this movie. He knows he's doing Aikido. He knows he's doing jiu-jitsu. He knows he's doing all these big gags. He knows he's going to do these particular things. We're already working that in. So we're going to keep training him to get there. And the saturation point is, okay, actor talent. Keanu Reeves owns his own motorcycle company. I don't know if you guys ever seen him on a GP track. The guy can ride. Yeah. Better than most stunt people. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Better than anybody average. He is excellent on a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. So Keanu Reeves riding on a motorcycle is not considered a stunt. No. If Keanu had never gotten on a motorcycle before, and I got to put him on a motorcycle, that's a little sketch now. He's not coming around a corner. Keanu right now in full leathers could come around a corner on Fifth Avenue with his knee drag and a wheeling thing out. Okay, no problem. Mm-hmm. So the trick is when you design action, whether it's martial arts or anything, there's that saturation. Okay, actor, talent. The more talent he has, the less dangerous it is. Yeah. You get that? Yeah. So we find that spot where it is. And if this is the point where it becomes too much, we have to go, well, do we want to back it down, or do we want to keep going up and use a double, or what's another way to shoot it? We just try to find the best way to enhance the great gag. Tom Cruise, excellent fucking athlete. That's Tom running. But you gotta remember, Tom's got to stay in shape to run like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? You never see him cut out to the double because Tom didn't want to run. It's every filmmaker's choice where that point is. If you want to do the work and design around what you have to show off your actor, then you can use that guy you can be 100%. Yeah. We just want to go that extra distance because I like pain and I think it's funny to throw guys downstairs and hit them with cars. But no matter how cool Keanu is, I have that talk with him no, dude, and Keanu, in the bravest and most athletic of ways and intelligent, he knows that no matter how cool or how good or how tough, you're not getting hit by a car. Yeah. So there's really we'll just look at stuff and go, do you feel good? Yes. Do you feel bad? No. And there's other times, and Keanu's such a pro, we'll go this is obviously, we're not hitting you with a bus. And he's like, fair enough. Hey, but can I do the roll afterwards? I don't know, can you? And we put on the pads and we go, oh, yes. So he knows to create the character of John Wick, whatever that balance is, to be the most exciting and the most believable way for the cast or the crew, or most importantly, the audience. he's going to take it to that level. And if he's not there yet, he'll put in the time to get there.
Yeah.
So we have those conversations beforehand to see how far we can push each other. And that's usually the point of extraction where we have to do things a little differently. If that makes sense to you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So like coming from that, when you rewatch all the John Wick movies, do you ever look at a stunt and think, wow, we did that? Like, how did we make that happen? Is there any stunts that stand out to you? Like that?
It's more like sequences. You're like, oh, I thought, going into it, I thought that was going to be really shitty. And then you watch it, it's so bad. We did okay. Like, we're doing a dog sequence with Halle Berry in Morocco in a town. Like, we just flew the dogs 10,000 miles. They're dogs. They're not people. The dogs don't know it's a movie.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a movie dog. You know what I mean? It's just a dog. Like, the dog doesn't know. The dog, when he's attacking somebody, he's like, yeah, okay. If you're going to give me a bone, I'm going to go get this guy. So, like, to pull something like that off and not hurt anybody and to make it fun and exciting and the audience buy into it and go, it's Halle Berry killing 20 guys with dogs. That's cool. Like, that's a great achievement for me when we look back. Like, nothing's better than when you're sitting in the audience, at least what I've experienced. And, English, like, you get guys totally react to things different than the Germans or the Swiss or the Japanese. So, I remember on the last movie, I'm sitting in London and we're doing our first little premiere screening. And, John Wick 2 had been very, very quiet when I was over in London. Like, no one, it was kind of like a ha ha ha. And at the end, everybody applauded. So I'm like, oh, that was weird. This time I went over and when we were showing John Wick 3, like, people were laughing at the knife fight. They were cheering. I was like, okay, cool, I'm okay. Like, that's how you got it. So
yeah,
I don't know.
If you've got Brits doing that, you know that you've done it.
Yeah, and like, there's always that insecurity of like, okay, I think it's funny. You guys gonna think it's funny? So when you get that response back, yeah, I look at it and just kind of give one of these like, oh wow, I don't suck as bad as I thought I
did. Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like as well, we see Keanu as John Wick cycling through different types of shots with his gun. So he cycles through completely different ones if he's close quarters, if he's shooting from long range. Because for me personally, I know for a lot of action movie fans, there's nothing worse than seeing the bad guy shooting from the hip type shooting. You want to see them acting like special forces. Knowing that Keanu's skill set obviously grown with him from Matrix and throughout these movies as well, is that something that you really concentrate on doing, which is make it completely realistic in that side of things?
I think, well, as realistic as these movies can be,
I
think the funnest thing about when I was a choreographer, the thing I learned the most was you can be as nutty as you can with action, or you can be as nutty as you can with character. You just can't do both.
Yeah.
Nutty, crazy character with crazy action usually equals to cheese, a cheesy factor of non-believability. If you put a very grounded human in a wacky situation, that's fun. If you put a crazy human in a very, grounded situation, it's fun. It's like the alien comes to Earth, you buy the laser gun, right? Yeah. You put a human on a crazy planet, you buy that one. Yeah. You put Superman on Earth or you put Earth on Superman. Like you can have them, but put Superman on a world with other Superman, now it's getting a little okay. Mm-hmm. That's all. So in answer to that, I find the best way to choreograph is people run out of bullets. That's a fact. Like, why Hollywood never does that and why Hollywood doesn't do the kind of choreography we do, because at the time we didn't have the digital flashes. So even a blank could kill you from 15 feet. That's why you got to cut, because you couldn't do a point blank shot in the old days because they didn't have visual effects. Now we have visual effects and all these kind of prop weapons that they're super safe and no one's going to get hurt. So we can do all the John Wick shit. Mm-hmm. Also, reloading takes more skill than holding a gun and shooting. Being able to take a mag, put it in, like that takes dexterity and takes training. And no one wanted to do all the training. And also, it kind of makes you look a little goofy, right? You're like, oh, fuck. Yeah. You like that. Like when you see Keanu Reeves trip and fall down or kind of mess up, he's really kind of messing up. Right. But we like imperfection. Yeah. Like Indiana Jones, or we call it the Die Hard syndrome. Think about the balls it took for Bruce Willis, this TV guy going into feature for the first time, first big movie. I'm going to do it all barefoot in a tank top, covered in grease, blood, and I'm going to look as much as you thought I was cute moonlighting, I'm going to look as shitty as I've ever looked on my feature debut. And I'm going to do it all barefoot. I'm going to be the most uncool, cool dude ever. And what did you do? That's nearly a perfect action movie. You fucking love the guy, right? You love them. Indiana Jones, the more he got beat up, the more he was shitty, the less he fought, the more he just shot the guy with the whip, the more you loved him.
Yeah.
So we take that same thing, like the whole subversive nature of what we try to do is like, the best example that I finally got to do is that knife fight in John Wick 3. Like how many times, and you guys all know, and I'll talk to you like boys, how many times have you taken your mom's fucking cutlery and gone out and thrown it against a tree?
Yeah.
More than you want to fucking admit, right? And how many times did that knife stick to the tree? 1 out of 5.
Many.
How many times did it bounce back and almost get you in the fucking head?
Yeah.
Didn't do sharp cutlery in my house, mate. So not very often.
But the point is, like in every action movie, even though with no backstory about this guy picking up a knife, how many times, other than John Wick 3, how many times have you seen someone pick up a knife, throw it, and miss? All right, you guys know that just stabbing a guy in the chest with they don't die instantaneously, right?
Yeah.
That's not a human thing. Okay, so but every movie you throw a knife and the guy just drops dead, lights off. Like that never fucking happens ever. So we thought it'd be fun if we, you ever have a snowball fight with your little brother or sister? You take like chuck or something. All right, well, we're like, well, we want a snowball fight where the knives don't stick, and that's how we choreograph that fight. Because it's and Ken was like, because like only half the knives he throws sticks, and then when he actually gets one in, he's only 3 feet away, so just get closer. That's how it would really go. So that little taste of reality makes a surreal situation. You're like, I've never seen a knife fight like this before. Yeah, but that's a lot more like how it would go than in every Bond movie.
Yeah.
So like that's how we blend in reality.
I think it's that relatability factor, isn't it? That all the films have. Weirdly, it's this completely mental universe, but people can relate to it, and that's what makes it so special. And it's like little scenes like that, like you just said.
Yeah, the most realistic, unrealistic movie out there.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. And I guess like with all those stunts as well, I know I've read that you've kept the same kind of stuntmen and altered their appearance throughout the films. Is that because it's easier to work with like a close-knit group, or is that just because you wanted
like cool? Look, stunts are like anything else. Like right now, you guys can say you're a stunt guy.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping you. There's no certification. There's no school. Fucking stunt guy. Woo. Okay, doesn't mean a good one. All right, and just like any other profession, like there's a lot of doctors, and some are shit, and some are really good, and some are specialty guys. Like, do you want your orthopedic surgeon working on your heart?
Yeah.
No, but they're both doctors and they're both really good. Okay, stuntmen are just like that. There's some really shitty ones. And there's some great ones that are fantastic at car or motorcycle, but can't throw a punch.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, martial arts is not, you can be a world champion MMA guy and be horrible at movie choreography. Not necessarily, but like we dance, they fight. Fighting is nothing like choreography, actual fight, nothing like it. Don't let anybody kid you. We study more like dancers and train like dancers with memory and not hurting people and action, not action, reaction, and timing. Like there's crossovers for sure, but they're very different. Just it's like, it might as well be baseball, football. Like they're similar traits, but very different. So, when you get a team that works together, like why do we do great takes? Why does John Wick look so clean? Why does Keanu look so good? Why do we do longer takes? Well, okay. Have you guys ever gone to a live performance of ballet or jazz or like a real musical, Hamilton? Or like, okay, well, you sit in the audience and for an hour and a half, these guys, how many times, and I've gone to hundreds. In my whole life, I've only seen 2 actual oopses on stage in a live performance with even high school musicals, right? So you're telling me these group of people that make 10 times less than an average stuntman remember an hour and a half worth of dance moves? That's impressive, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Right, but that's a memory thing. Most stunt guys can't remember 5 moves. So like when you have fight teams train like how we need them, we train Keanu or any of our cast members in memory. We train them in the dance, we call it, so they can not hurt the people but look like they're hurting people. Like takes a lot of trust. You got to stick your face out there and let them kick you in the face. Like how you got to. So you can't just train to hurt and kill things. You got to train how to miss and look like you're killing things at full speed at people. So that little dance troupe, like the people, if you were going to the New York City Ballet, the same people that the lead ballerina is dancing with are the same people she rehearses with. It'd be pretty fucking silly to rehearse for 3 months with these guys and then go shoot with these guys.
Yeah.
That is how 99% of all movies are made. You train with your group of little stunt guys right here, but because you can't see their face all the time, you go to Bratislava and you're all Bratislavan stunt guys that have never met you before. They're expected to learn to fight in 2 days. That's why you have so many shitty fights with so many edits, with so many shaky cams. We all know the problems. It just comes down to time and money. We can't afford, unless you're a John Wick or a Matrix or an Avengers, you can't bring 30 of your best stunt guys over to.
There you go.
Awesome.
I don't know when I cut out. But the point is like, look, the process is more important than the moves. It's more important than the angles. It's more important than like that. If you get a group of stunt guys and you know that, you have to train for the whole thing. It's not about coming up with cool moves or cool shots. It's about everything. It's the mise en scène of action. You have to train as if it, like we always joke, there's two mentalities. There's preparing for war, and then there's preparing to prepare for war. Most prepare. They like the training. They like the concept of it. But you have to actualize. You have to actualize the strategy of it. Meaning, I already know these problems. I accept that I'm not going to have 30 or 40 of the best guys. I'm going to have 10. So how do I move and stretch this? How do I change looks? Also, if I have 3 months on location, like I'm going to go to Berlin soon. So I know already the good guys over there, but I also know I'm going to need more than my guys and their best guys. So you can't sit and bitch about it. So I know I've got a small team that when I get there, half the day is working on this. The other half of the day is training all their guys to get up to our language. So we're all speaking the same language.
Yeah.
You have to know this and be proactive. I shit you not, it is that simple to do good action. It's knowing the problems of filmmaking, time versus money versus access to assets, understanding it, coming up with solutions to those problems, not just going, oh, well, I guess it's going to be the same thing. That's why it sucks, because we didn't have our right guys. Like, if I hear that, I lose all interest in the people that say that.
Yeah. And it's going back to that as well. It's going to be, we know that Keanu Reeves learned that nightclub scene from John Wick 1. He learned in a day and then shot it later that day. Is that what happened? And when you know someone that well, especially with a close-knit group of other stuntmen as well, does that aid it where you know that, well, we can do this and we can get this done by today because you know them inside out and know their capabilities that well?
Right. It's the same thing. Like, look, if I'm just concerned about say I got to teach you a fight scene. I got to teach you a fight scene. It's got 10 moves in it. Great. I show you on the day, but you've never done martial arts before in your life.
Yeah.
It's going to be the hardest 10 moves of your life, right? Like you get all screwed up. But if I trained you for 7 weeks to do all those moves in 20 different versions of it, does it matter the order I put them in? Like you can speak English, right?
Yeah.
I get, if you ask me that same question, I bet you could ask it in 3 or 4 different ways without repeating it, right? Okay, it's the same thing in choreography. If I teach you all the fundamentals on how to conjugate motion, basically, how to spin left, how to spin right, how to go up and down, and how to block, and the big essential is how not to hurt while looking like I hurt. Great. Does it matter if I put left hand first or right hand first? That's what we do. We spend all our time training the cast to be very fluid and to be very professional, still learning it, as opposed to, okay, I have 3 days to teach you a fight, so I only teach you those 10 moves.
Yeah.
As long as you do those 10 moves in this order, you're going to look okay. The problem is that never works on set because the lighting changes. This moves. We got to move this. The other actor is not moving that way. On set, your wardrobe doesn't fit. We got to shoot this because the sun's coming up over here. Then you're screwed. Yeah. We know those problems are going to happen, so we train Keanu more like a dancer that can do everything, and we teach him a routine, but we know it's going to change. He's trained to change, so when I do show him the actual fight on the day, it's because we've collaborated and changed it. And he's like, yeah, give me a 2. Okay, we're ready to go. Yeah. But that's only because he can speak the language.
Yeah. And I think like one of my final questions is, through the trilogy, we see loads of kind of video game references, Payday 2 posters, in John Wick 2, in the fighting room with Cassian, it features one of the Counter-Strike map steps. But was that like a direct influence on the John Wick trilogy? Did you want it to be that kind of one-man army type shoot 'em up? Is that what you were kind of going for, or is that something you stumbled into?
I appreciate a lot. I'm not a big video game player. I'm like the guy that's always sitting over your shoulder, kind of watching it. That was pretty cool. You know, I think video games, what they do in their gameplay and what they do in their cinematic trailers and the cinematic part of games are genius. And I think they're so creative, and I draw a lot of inspiration from that. And hopefully I inspire inspiration back to some of those guys with some of the gun work and martial arts shit we do. That was never really an intention. I mean, when the first John Wick came out, I said, oh, it's a first person shooter kind of thing. Cool, great reference. That was never our intent or purpose. I'm sure subliminally it was probably a process. I mean, there's only so many ways you can pull the guy, you can push the guy, you can be the POV, you cannot be the POV. You know, I'm sure we all kind of rip and copy each other off and step on each other's conceptuals of that. But it was never purposely done to be that. But I'm happy to take that reference because I think it's super cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, thank you so much for giving us so much of your time today. We really
thank you.
appreciate it.
No worries, guys. My pleasure. I appreciate all you guys do. It's awesome.
And I want